There are surprisingly many open source role-playing games that go beyond a tech demo or game engine re-implementation. In this video we will look at the 10 most entertaining and complete ones. You will see the gameplay, learn of the in-world story, and hear details about the development. We start with the game called Ardentrist. Ardentrist is a platformer role-playing game, a genre mix that is surprising when you first play it. Once you get used to it, it makes perfect sense though. You fight magical fantasy monsters in castles, grasslands and snowscapes, with the platforming challenges growing slowly in difficulty. Over time even rewards for speedruns appear, once you cross a certain point of the game. Skill upgrades happen automatically upon level up, JRPG style. Customization happens mostly through choice of primary weapon and item purchases. There are 2 characters to pick between at the beginning, and you can modify the initial skill distribution as well as pick the starting weapon. There are 3 weapon types per character, and one of them is a truly ranged one, which makes most of the gameplay completely different from the other choices. Astoundingly, Ardentrist has some excellent voice acting for the intro.
When I was a child, I knew bright blue days when the heat was blaring and the gulls were soaring.
The plot is a save the world against the evil wizard type, where you choose one of 2 prodigies to do the world saving. The game is quite short. A dedicated new player might finish the easiest combination in an hour or less. However, you can try to aim for completionist playthroughs, which require you to finish levels without taking any damage. That ought to add an hour or 2. Thanks to the customizing options at start of the game, there very well is motivation to be found to replay Ardentrist. By the way, the 2 characters start at different locations and levels have slight differences depending on character as well. Unfortunately, there is no full HD options for the strictly 4:3 aspect ratio game, but you can always pick full screen mode. Ardentrist was a solo project started in 2007 with some help by artists. It was made with Pygame but not being developed any further. Yet it is complete and worthy of giving a try. We continue with Rebus. Rebus is a simple action RPG made for touchscreen devices, which means that it has simplistic controls, which however work very well. The graphics are very low resolution, but the blurry 3D render graphics with Fog of War very much have a pleasant nostalgic feel of Baldur's Gate dungeon exploration with simple enough gameplay mechanics for a smartphone or quick break gaming on PC. Rebus has 3 quests only, but allows different character classes for a player. Being a one-man project, it still receives updates to this day. There are 5 classes, 3 difficulty settings, and a permadeath option. The quests ranged from clearing out a cave of village plundering goblins, over retrieving a powerful dead wizard's skull, to delivering a life-saving potion. Thankfully, the UI scales nicely. The only smaller issue are item interaction screens, which stretch to all displays if your computer has multiple. I also encountered a few crashes, but thankfully there is a good working autosave feature. The technology behind Rebus are Qt and SFML. Rebus makes massive use of content available on OpenGameArt and even has free music tracks that are Attribution 3.0 licensed, but apparently custom made or at least provided for the game. One very nice usability feature is the time speed up button, for when you need to backtrack within a level. If only there was a tool to easily make new levels and quests. On the other hand, there is a random dungeon quest option, which combined with the positively simple gameplay adds a lot of replay value. Next up is Droid RPG.
What a great day.
Droid RPG is the open source Diablo clone. It is an isometric graphics slash and hack with skill trees and many quests and heaps of writing, masses of items as well as a hacking system. The setting is a science fiction cartoon style environment in which a recent cryogenic unfrozen tux penguin is doing all kinds of errands to save what is left of the world. Surprisingly, there seem to be many influences from the first Fallout, when it comes to being able to screw up and make everybody on the planet try to kill you, or blocking yourself from entire game features by making a wrong comment to the wrong person at the wrong time. The volume of dialogue surpasses Diablo for sure, and actual item descriptions also deepen the lore. The hacking minigame and system truly distinguishes FreeDroid, allowing you to create an army of droids that follow you around and shoot enemy robots. This resembles mechanics found in other games which allow conjuring friendly monsters or tame beasts. Yet, as entertaining as the system is, its use appears to be limited as experience is not given for kills made by allies. The first act of the game was recently finished, and a preview of a second act is in the game as well. FreeDroid has had a huge amount of contributors and is probably one of the most famous open source game projects. The main technologies used are SDL and Lua. Coming up, FreeDink. Dink Smallwood is a low-resolution action-adventure with dark humor, a few upgradable stats, and a handful of items to find. Fights take place in real time and there are numerous strange characters for the player to meet throughout the storyline. Pretty much immediately at the start of the game, Dink loses his only parent, brutally. Some of the first missions involve feeding animals, but pressing the wrong button allows to accidentally attack them easily. The game feels like a parody of RPG tropes, combined with pure silliness. The writing certainly is not everybody's cup of tea, with strange and gory humor. But if this description does not put you off, you should absolutely give it a try. Once upon a time, this was a commercial title that eventually was open sourced and even the data is freely licensed now. Just some sounds are still missing. Besides desktop, FreeDink is playable in the browser, and the Android version is available for free with no in-app purchases. The desktop version is still being maintained, Android version gets updates too. Next on the list, Valeria Tear. Valeria Tear is a JRPG that takes a while for battle to kick in. It eases into getting to know the village that eventually has to fall, as statistically do 66% of all RPG starting villages, and its inhabitants. The story is yet another villager boy turned chosen one, but the writing is nice and characters' development is interesting. Based on the Hero of Alacrost game engine, Valeria Tear managed to reach much higher levels of completion. Many hours of gameplay can be found here. The game can require much grinding and backtracking at times, and could be considered quite a hard challenge to survive. Saving is limited to certain locations, which can lead to some frustration. Enemies home in on you in levels to trigger battles that are somewhat Final Fantasy-like. The lion's share of commits comes from the lead developer, even though there are many contributors in total. Development is still ongoing, however at a snail's pace. The most important goal on the roadmap is balancing. The soundtrack is very nice and suits the game well. Game number 6 is Falloff Immiran. Another Japanese role-playing game, Falloff Immiran is another one-man project. True pixel art isometric graphics give it a genuine retro feel. The plot is delivered very effectively in concise dialogue, and the story is refreshingly different from the Boy Saves World standard. Most notably is the lack of stress generated by the apparently low amount of grinding needed and the fair placement of restoration/save points. This also means that the game can be over quite soon. Only a few items allow customization of stats, while level up rewards happen automatically. Each of the 3 characters has easy to discover most efficient tactics for battle, but there are options to change the playstyle a little. There seem to be little replay value, except perhaps for challenging yourself by limiting your use of certain skills. Falloff Immiran is simple, short, complete, well-written, and thanks to using Pygame, relatively easy to get running. Number 7. Hail. Hail is a single developer RPG project with a complex skill tree that gives the feel of nearly playing a pen and paper type of RPG, but with kind mechanics, for example fast healing, quick saving, and automatic party member movement, which make it playable in a near casual way. The game takes place on a hex grid, and the action is quite fast. I highly recommend the Concealing Fog spell for your mage in the party. There is one campaign with many battles and interesting magic spells and skills. The tech uses Java and LWJGL. A lot of resources from Westnoth and OpenGameArt are used. There were no updates in years, yet it is available and playable. All you need is Java. Number 8. Evon. Bananas, people's artificial nuts, explosive mines? These are just 3 of the ingredients in the fascinating game called Evon, or Iter Vehemens ad Nessem for short. Evon is a roguelike, which usually has no place on a list of modern role-playing games. Yet its consistent focus on a unique linear storyline, and especially its humor, should make it interesting to players who prefer modern RPGs as well. The main hurdle to overcome is getting used to the many shortcut keys. There is one for making an offering to a god, there is one for vomiting, there is one for sitting down. But once you know the most important ones, the game will be a blast. Because there are mines full of mines that will blast your head off, or your left arm, left leg, right leg, torso, groin, or puppy. Of course, 99% of the time you will die. Maybe you will never win. But what a journey to that list of crazy deaths it is. If you have played roguelikes before and disliked them, Evon is the game you should try to see how different they can be. Pro tip: should your left arm fall off, pick it up and wield it in your right hand. Next game, Summoning Wars. Summoning Wars, also called Sum Wars for short, throws you right into the action. You play a character of one of many Diablo-style classes that appear to be treated as a kind of anti-chosen one, and find yourself in a world full of goblins, zombies and soldiers. Also, you are immortal, and the first enemy you meet annihilates you in the blink of an eye. There might have been some inspiration from Planescape Torment. The plot throws you into a dungeon that is being attacked by a fire-type monster, people call you Cursed One, and you are revealed to be immortal, thus the ability to respawn. You meet the master of a dungeon who tasks you to travel to a village, the path to which is riddled with monsters. As you arrive in that village, you witness an army leaving you to do chores around town. The dialogues leave you confused, which is a normal feeling when starting to play a game that is part of some kind of epic saga, which Sum Wars appears to achieve, so good job on that. Sum Wars was developed as a team project and features a multiplayer game mode up to 8 players. It has not seen any updates for years, but at least it is easy to find a working Windows binary. It uses the Ogre engine as the main technology, which is still under development. Number 10. Flare. Flare is perhaps the most modern 2D open source RPG as of today. With extremely close ties to the OpenGameArt website community, its lead developer produced a lot of art that ended up being used in other games as well. Flare actually is a game engine and games can be developed as mods. The official game mod is called Empyrean Campaign. The art is very consistent and gameplay feels balanced. An official Android version exists as well. It requires some manual file moving to get running, but the controls work well. This actually was 10 games, but I have a little bonus for you. DNT. Formerly called DCC Nitgdmer, DNT is vastly unknown due to it being developed as a solo project and being a challenge to compile at times. DNT is clearly inspired by Fallout, combined with a large serving of nerd humor, playing in a post-apocalyptic landscape with turn-based combat and crazy characters and very colorful writing. The combat is rather simple. Movement takes place within a certain range, 1 attack per round. There are strong melee weapons and ammo-wasting pistols. Dialogue has many options, intimidation and bluffing being important skills. Admittedly, DNT is nowhere near completion, and will probably never be, as it apparently started as an in-joke between university students. Yet the details put into the content that exists, the writing and complex skill system, provides a vertical slice worthy of exploring. Leave a comment with your favorite game from this list, and if you think there are games missing, write a comment again. If you found out about a game you did not know yet, press the thumbs up button so we know these kind of videos are useful at all. Don't forget to share your opinion in a comment.